Take yourself back to a better time at Corpalese Bakery and Deli, where nostalgia isn't just a word, it's an ingredient. Learn more at corpalesebakery.com.
Have you wanted to speak a new language, but thought it would be too difficult? Then try Babbel. Babbel starts by teaching you words and phrases that gradually get more complex. Soon, you're practicing short conversations. So in 15 minutes a day, you'll be speaking a new language in a few weeks. Babbel is built around real life. It teaches you practical conversations that you will actually use. Babbel. Language for life. Start the new year with a new language. Get up to 60% off now at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hey, it's Mike Missinelli here for Landis Block and Concrete. There is nothing like having a beautiful backyard. Think of many things you can do with it. You can sit outside on a nice little patio, have a nice glass of wine, have a few friends over to cook on your Landis Block outdoor kitchen. Turn your backyard into a personal paradise with Landis Block. They're the resource center for all outdoor living. All you need is imagination, space, and a budget. Check out the photo gallery at LandisBC.com. That's LandisBC.com for Landis Block, jaw-dropping outdoor paradises.
Dunkin' is here to help keep you up and running, Philly, with one free medium hot coffee Monday through Friday, once a week for members only. Not a member? Join on the Dunkin' app today and earn rewards. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. One per member per week. Exclusions apply. Valid through January 29th.
Whether you rent or own, Geico makes it easy to bundle home and car insurance. Having a home is hard work, so get a quote at geico.com. Easy.
It's time for 76ers basketball.
Bam with a jam. What a play by Embiid. And Ben Simmons throws it down.
Getting set for tonight's game. It's the Sixers pregame show on 97.5 The Fanatic.
These are unprecedented times, as we well know, and the 76ers are going to be playing under some unprecedented circumstances this afternoon. Only 8 available players officially, but just 7 of those guys are actually going to have a shot of playing. I'm Brian Seltzer. This is the First Trust pregame show. We do have the 76ers and the Denver Nuggets somehow, some way playing a basketball game that starts in about 9 minutes' time. The Sixers do claim the best record in the NBA right now. It's 7-2, a half game in front of the Los Angeles Lakers. But in order to maintain their perch atop the Eastern Conference, Sixers are going to have to work some magic today, you would figure, against an underperforming Denver team, which so far has gone 3-5, but has one of the best big men out there in Nikola Jokic, some other studs, Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Paul Millsap, Will Barton III. I mention these names because these are all regular starters for Denver, and they will be playing today. Whereas for the 76ers, here are the players who are available for Doc Rivers this afternoon. Danny Green, Tyrese Maxey, Isaiah Joe, Dakota Mathias, Dwight Howard, Tony Bradley Jr., Paul Reed, and Mike Scott is officially being listed as an available player, but Doc Rivers said a few hours ago that he will not play Mike Scott because Mike is still working his way back from a knee injury. And the reason why Mike Scott has to be available is because in these current times, an NBA team must have 8 eligible players or active players on their roster in order to avoid a game being postponed. Hence, 8 active players for the Sixers. And this game is going to be played today. You are probably well aware of the developments that have surrounded the 76ers over the last 36 hours or so since they left the floor at Brooklyn at Barclays Center on Thursday night after a really ugly loss on the second night of a back-to-back to the Brooklyn Nets. They dropped that game 122-109. They did not have Seth Curry in the game due to left ankle soreness. But then, and what we later found out occurred during the game, was that Seth Curry found out that his second corona test of the day revealed a positive result. And that was in the first quarter of the game on Thursday. So Seth Curry, who had been seated on the bench for the Sixers in street clothes, was obviously removed from that setting and put into isolation immediately. And what ensued after that was just as much organized chaos as there could be, because, you know, I say organized chaos because there's a certain regimen and protocol that the league implemented for teams to follow when a player returns a positive test result. But for the Sixers, this was the first time they were going through it. They were on the road. So just so much going on. Sixers didn't get back from New York City until around 1 or 2 o'clock this morning. They had to stay in New York after the game on Thursday night. They went through additional testing yesterday, waited for results, did contact tracing, all that stuff that you now have to go through these days if you test positive, understandably, for COVID. And now they're trying to patch together a roster to play a basketball game. Joel Embiid is out today due to injury, tightness in his back. Ben Simmons also sidelined, listed with an injury, swelling in his left knee. Doc Rivers said that Simmons started to experience some swelling in his left knee after the game on Thursday. Joel reporting some tightness in his back yesterday, which was Friday. So the Sixers, their starting lineup at last we heard, as far as their projected starting lineup for today, is going to be this: Green, Matthias, Maxey, Joe, and Dwight Howard. And they're going to be going up against the top 5 for the Denver Nuggets, which is obviously going to present an immense challenge for the 76ers. Doc Rivers, as I said, spoke almost about 2 hours ago. We're going to hear his interview with Tom McGinnis in a few moments as well, but I still felt it would be good for the purposes of reporting on what's happening around the Sixers right now to play back some of this sound. Here's Doc Rivers responding to a question, his first question of the media availability on Zoom, just a little bit after 1 o'clock, as for what the last 36 hours have been like.
The last 36 hours have been nuts, as you would expect. Being held up, obviously, in New York, doing multiple tests, waiting for tests, contract tracing, then getting the list of guys being out, getting back to Philly at, 1 in the morning. Getting to your house, then trying to think, not knowing if you're playing or not, on the phone with your coaches and stuff up until 4 in the morning. Still not knowing. We're just trying to create some kind of game plan, and then coming here. And then, an hour ago, we were told we were playing. I think we have 8 active players. We're going to throw them together, and, Dwight Howard is going to play point guard tonight, and we're going to see how it goes.
That might have been said tongue-in-cheek. You would have to presume that Tyrese Maxey is going to play at point guard or start at point guard for the Sixers. But Doc is, he's about as, for better or worse, seasoned of a crisis manager as there could be among the NBA coaching ranks. You think about Donald Sterling and the Clippers, what went down in the bubble this past summer in the aftermath of George Floyd and his murder just this past week, and responding and being one of the leading voices about what happened with the insurrection at the Capitol. So Doc knows how to get a team ready, and this was the take he had on how to try to turn a negative into a positive.
Some of these guys may help us later, and so they're going to get a lot of time against a very quality opponent. And it will be good for them, the ones who are playing. And so that's the way I have to look at it. Tyrese Maxey is going to get a ton of minutes tonight. And so he's going to see what it's like carrying a team, in the NBA, and what it's like where the defense is now, they're focusing in on you. There's a lot of that you can learn and teach tonight. So I will definitely be a teacher tonight more than, thinking about the score.
76ers and the Denver Nuggets. We'll go to Tom McGinnis, who's at the center. Tom, what are the vibes like down there this afternoon?
Well, I think it's everything that you talked about, because that statement by Doc Rivers, that's the Sixers statement right now. And then the big thing, if you're going to say what's the vibe like, it's when you look down, the Sixers have 7 guys and they have their whole team. That's the big thing you recognize right now. And just to piggyback, if you will, or follow up on what Coach said about Maxey, it's not just running the team, but one of these guys has got to guard got to guard Jamal Murray, right? And Dwight Howard's got to guard Jokic without fouling. So that's how, and as you say, like, Coach feels like Mike Scott, he's just coming back off a knee thing. He can't be out there playing 30 minutes, so he's not going to play him. And that's a big concern of Doc Rivers, that some of these guys like Tony Bradley and Paul Reed, they might end up playing 35 minutes. He'll tell us that's one of his bigger concerns, is that putting these guys in a position that may affect them long term. So we'll see. And he'll share, but to me it's like, stay within the parameters of how you want to play, and then do your best, because this is the most unprecedented game in Sixers history.
Tom, we know that you are prepared one way or another with all the deep dives on Matthias and Joe and those guys, so we will sit back and listen today.
One went to Purdue and one went to Arkansas. That's it.
There you go. All right, thanks, Tom. Enjoy the game. Thank you, Carl Namoli, back in the studio. Yep, there's a game. How it'll go, we're about to find out. 76ers and the Nuggets right here on the Sixers Radio Network.
This is Sixers basketball.
And the Sixers win.
On 97.5 The Fanatic. WPEN Burlington, Philadelphia. A Beasley Media Group station. It's time for 76ers basketball. Here they come.
No, Ben Simmons with a two-hand jam. Look out below. Joel Embiid.
Getting set for tonight's game. It's the 76ers pregame show presented by First Trust Bank on 97.5 The Fanatic.
The health crisis that has enveloped the nation has affected all of us in many ways. And today it has arrived at the doorstep of the 76ers. In fact, it's entered the room with a player testing positive for COVID-19, the coronavirus. And through health and safety protocols, the Sixers will be limited with who can play today as they meet the Denver Nuggets right now on the Sixers Radio Network.
76ers basketball is brought to you by Parks Casino, Rothman Orthopedics, StubHub, Independence Blue Cross, Five Below, DraftKings, the 76ers Podcast Network, Toyota, and NJM Insurance. Now with our pregame show presented by First Trust Bank, here's Tom McGinnis.
NBA basketball is on the air. Good afternoon and welcome to our coverage of the Sixers. A matinee here at the center is today. The Sixers at 7-2, playing their 10th game, take on the Denver Nuggets at 3-5. Denver beginning a 3-game East Coast road trip with today's game, and they'll be